Right now, I got a few words from some of my brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans. Another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, and welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So my mic was acting weird earlier today, so thanks for the feedback on that. Got Black Hat out there and DTP, it looks like. So I had planned to do some stuff today and didn't get to do it. So this is a weird day for me. So I'm going to be doing those things after the show today. So we'll see how long the show goes for. I sent out a link to maybe about 10 people today. So we'll see if anybody shows up and keeps the show going. Otherwise, half of the show is what happens on this side of the microphone, and the other half of the show is what happens on that side of the speakers. So if you want to be part of the show live, it's every weeknight at midnight. It's only been going on for 1,000 episodes, so it's pretty easy to find us. Or if you're listening in the comments later, or you're watching the video later and you want to participate, use the comments. All right, well, so I'm frustrated. I've been doing stuff all day. Like I say, I wanted to do some other stuff and I didn't. So I need to get ready to do some stuff. So I think I'm just gonna waste some time tonight. Actually, I'm gonna go over here and turn on this music because I don't like being in this weird silent room here. And I guess that's about right. And I'll start screen sharing over here. Got about 8 things I could be doing, but I like to do the show every night, even if there's nothing necessarily to talk about or to not talk about. But yeah, I'm screen sharing the correct screen here. Got just two of you out there tonight, so let me know what's on your mind or what. Otherwise, hopefully, I'm not gonna cut it off right away. We'll see if anybody shows up, but hopefully it won't be a short show or that short of a show. Hopefully everybody's doing okay though. Oh shoot, I shouldn't open this thing up like this if I'm gonna give out secrets. I don't think I got any secrets on the screen. Let's do 2A people. You know what I should do? I should do a gun shop. So I'm gonna do a gun shop. It's my crappy Tom Selleck cartoon. So where the hell did I put the gun shops at? Shot show, firearms museum, gun show. There we go. Okay, so I was working on Cody. Oh, I got a lot of coloring to do on this one, so. And I'm locked on the screen, so I can just sit here and color for a little bit. If anybody's got anything to talk about, we can talk about that. Otherwise, you listen to royalty-free, attribution not required music off of YouTube. It's kind of boring. Sent Angelina a link. I think I might have got her a new client today. Went to a restaurant and they were out of like these cool stickers that they had. And they were like, oh, we should find somebody to make new ones. I was like, I know a person who can make new ones for you. Has anybody out there ever been to Battlefield Vegas or considered going to Battlefield Vegas? I think I could highly recommend it. Definitely, one of the more unique of the experiences of the Vegas situations, rental places. What do I do here? I guess I have to do something like this, I guess. Come down like this. That's not going to do it. Come back up like this, I guess. That's not good. And then just turn this one to some other color. Right? And then drop that other color back behind that color. Dang, is this thing broke? Nobody's saying nothing. Oh, there we go. Never been to Vegas. Oh, well, then you probably haven't been there. Yeah, we only got 2 people showing up, so I guess it's a shark show tonight. All the people that are going to get killed off by this virus, why does it have to be only my viewers? I mean, I know cough on viewers. I think I gave them. Kind of want to make that color, so I'm going to make it some other darker color. Turns out yesterday, I think, well, I know I fell asleep yesterday. Sorry about not having a show yesterday. I forgot about that. I fell asleep. I was done with the Yankee show, I think, and then I was like, oh, I got like a half an hour before the show. So I was like, going to go lay down. You can blame the dog because she basically made me fall asleep by being fuzzy and warm. And I was just minding my business laying there, and she came up and was fuzzy and warm next to me. Next thing I knew, it was like midnight. That little mask over there, that'll make that look better. And then change these colors, I think. To tanny, shitty color, maybe that color. Oh, that's a good color. Desert color. You got the notification for a change? I barely just went live. I set the notification and then went live, so I didn't like let it sit or anything this time. I don't see anyone else live. Clover's working me right now. Yep. what this sounds like a lot, actually, is at the end of Buckaroo Banzai. Like the closing credits of Buckaroo Banzai. I knew there was some reason I recognized this one. That's probably why I even picked it in the first place to be in this list. Alright, so now let's see how accurate that is. This part. Let's see if it plays. This is the end of Buckaroo Banzai, right? I just watched Buckaroo Banzai the other day. Pretty awesome freaking movie. So that's the end of Buckaroo Banzai, and this is this one, royalty-free, attribution not required, Google Music. Buckaroo Banzai. Same thing. Might as well be the same music. Jazz flute. All right, I'll go back to the royalty-free stuff. No, I passed over to that whole song, so I guess we're not listening to it anymore. Now, if I accidentally forget to cut that out of this, whenever I pull the cartooning of this off of this channel or off of this video, then I'll get a copyright strike for having a Buckaroo Banzai picture. Oh, I'm totally wrong on this one. This is supposed to be some darker color. For Zola, yeah, like one of those side-scrolling games. And I watched the neatest thing. I don't really like video games that much. I don't play them or nothing, but you know, I've been around them. So there was a show on YouTube, I think it was a YouTube video, and it was like 45 minutes, so it might have been a regular video. I think it was YouTube. And it was all about the development of graphics. It's really interesting. They call how they start with Pong, I guess, and then, you know, like Pac-Man and just like the different, I guess, technologies that allowed the video games to look different or do more stuff. And then I guess sort of like the ways, like first they made the Pac-Man guy more interesting, and that's where you get those fighting games. But then they figured out, well, let's move that thing around more, and then you get a different type of video game, and then the raster images. So like the old it's that one where your spaceship looks like this cursor and you just shoot meteors in a circle, asteroids maybe? Like the old Asteroids was a vector game, and all the other games were rasters. And I work with rasters and vectors in this stuff, but in a whole different way, I guess, really. And it's just really neat to see all the different development, I guess, evolution of that stuff. So I'm just going to lock all that shit, unlock this one, grab that picture. Oh, this is two pictures actually. Copy those two pictures, go over here and paste those two pictures. Maybe put them like that, and then bring them from 30 to 100%. I was watching Clover's chat earlier, and that one one guy was saying that he thinks there's going to be like a baby boom of new YouTube channels because everybody's got a couple of weeks off to start a channel or whatever. And I was thinking about doing a series. I've been trying to do the 2A Media workshops. So I was going to do a series and just start building a website or something. And I don't care about YouTube channels. YouTube channels are worthless, but starting a project is super valid. So I was thinking about doing some sort of like whatever step-by-step for how to get started with elements of a channel and then see if that gets in. So if anybody does have the ambition to start something, they've got some step-by-steps that are being created for them. So they don't have to go back and look at old shit or try to piece it all together. So you guys are asking, let's see. I like Buckaroo Banzai. I wish it'd become a franchise. You know what would have been awesome for Buckaroo Banzai, dude, is cartoons. Like a Buckaroo Banzai cartoon. Freaking epic. Like, I don't know why they didn't do that. Your video isn't showing up in my feed. You mean like the alert for it? I wonder if it's because I always start them on the duck. Like I just go straight to the duck. I tell the duck to start my YouTube video, and then I start it. And it starts in the duck, and I end it in the duck. And I wonder if that has a different algorithmic characteristic than starting it in YouTube. They probably like it when you start it in YouTube. In fact, I've started it in YouTube before and then figured, man, this was too much of a pain in the ass. And then I delete it, and then I go to StreamYard, open it in StreamYard, because it's that much easier to do it in StreamYard. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you remember, but there was a time, we're going to call it, it was after the Quark era, and it was before, it was definitely before the Clover and Ghost era. But after the Quark era, and probably, I'm going to call it during the, what are we going to call that era? We're going to call that I'm going to just call it the after Quark, AQ. So after Quark and before Clover, BC, AQ, BC of GC, there was a bunch of people, actually, a couple of people. And the one I can think of is Antonia and a couple others. One of them was a black and white critter. It's angry. And they liked the music like that. And I figured it's probably, you know why? I figured out why. It's because when they were babies, their parents played video games in front of them, like all the time. Like when I was a baby, my parents yelled at each other and went to work. I don't know what else they did. So that's all I know is having spaz and going to work. So when these kids were younger, their parents probably just played video games. So instead of like having like the loving sounds of a grandmother or like the songs of a lullaby, they had little deep, 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 damn it. Deep, 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 damn it. I'm trying again. Deep, 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 you're late for work. Deep, 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 you lost your job. Deep, 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 deep. So that's like, that's they're used to. Anyway, so now they want to listen to every kind of song. Like, oh, I like Pink Floyd, but it would be better if it was an 8-bit endless loop. If I go to my subscribe feed, the newest video is Yankees. It's because I'm blacklisted. I'm shadow banned. Everybody's out to get me. It's not my fault. My channel is awesome. It's the rest of the world that doesn't know what's up. Buckaroo would have been a good cartoon. Has to be a G. Yep, probably. Whatever that is. Could be. I always started the duck, and it takes a while for the people to get notified. Oh, interesting. Okay. I think it's more than a theory. I think I've rooted it through. And there's nobody in here to debate it, so that makes it true. All right, so now I can go grab some actual colors that I need over here. I wonder if they're just taking these and like sampling. This is definitely Chicago, or some song like Chicago, or group like Chicago. So I wonder if they just sample it, tweak it just enough to pull out anything that's recognizable, and then send that up to YouTube. So, aside from coloring or whatever, is anybody having any, I don't know, anything going on? Anything worth adding? Any stress out there? Any light at the end of the tunnel? Any concerns? I don't know. There's stuff out there. I'm planning. I forgot. I got the week all mixed up because I've been stressed out, I guess, and not sleeping good, at least weird routine or whatever. So today I was doing stuff and I got a more normal routine, but I forgot a day. I think I thought it was Wednesday on Tuesday or something. So I thought today was Friday, and then I had to do something today, which removed today from my calendar. Like I had to do stuff all day, so then that kind of worked because I thought today was Friday. So tomorrow I'll be thinking I'll be able to live what I thought was today anyway. So I'll kind of miss this day. But anyway, I was planning on having a chat on Friday with people I know who would be interested in and able to talk about calming people's jets, right? Calming people out, they're stressed or what. And I'm wondering if that's better to do on a Friday or on a Saturday for both sides. If it's better for people who show up to be able to do it on a Saturday instead of a Friday during the day, or if it's better for listeners just to be able to listen to it on a Saturday. So I'm curious, what do you think? Should I do something like that? Should I try to set it up for the weekend or for Friday? It's tough. I was driving around most of the day today, and people keep saying that, it's quarantine. What do they call it? Stay in place or whatever. But there's tons of people out. Like there was a lot of people out running around all day. Everywhere I was at all day today, there was people. The only difference is the only thing that was different is that like the parking lots in front of the restaurants were empty, but like the parking lots in front of the auto shop or whatever, the auto parts, there's people there. Just in front of the grocery store, there's people there. So there's like people at 50% of the shops, and then maybe if I went to like a complex that's all real estate brokers or insurance people, like that one might have an empty parking lot, and it seemed strange. It seemed like a Sunday or something, and that's kind of what it seemed like today. I guess it was like a Sunday, but I guess I listened to NPR a little bit. That was frustrating. Like those people are definitely feeding on this. I think that people who get into broadcasting, especially the people that put their face up there all the damn time, they're in it because they want to have their face recognized with something, right? Like there's a reason they're putting their face out there. So they got into that whole line of business in order to be famous. And this is an opportunity for them to, do what they want to do. So there's no chance they're going to shut up about it intentionally. People are going to have to quit listening to it, and then they'll quit saying stuff about it. But anyway, NPR was just a bunch of grandstanding, complaining and whining. It was frustrating. I couldn't listen to it. It would be one of them people driving around yelling at the radio. Which is kind of frustrating because I would rather know what they're doing over there. Okay, so I messed up. So I'm going to take this and copy it. And then I'm going to highlight this layer and that layer. Cut the donut hole like I wanted, but now this isn't still a donut hole. So now I'm going to take this, first I'm going to paste that layer down. Put that pretty much right back where it was. Now I'm going to highlight that layer, and I'm going to cookie hole again. And now I have a cookie hole through. Oh, fuck it. Oh, no, I don't have it. So now I have a cookie hole through that layer, and now I just have to put that layer back down below those two layers again. Maybe 3 layers again. There we go. And now I'm back to have, maybe one more layer. I guess that's it. So now I've got a hole through the whole entire Magpul stuff. I don't know how much more detail I want to get into that. I could keep going with detail forever, but then the picture would be weird, right? All the detail would be over here in the corner instead of everywhere else. I want to give it the same amount of detail as that helicopter, so I think that's about enough. Although I thought I did the object already. while I'm in here. Just do this real quick. All right, let's see if everybody's saying here. Let's see, could be I always start in the duck. Okay, we'll talk about that one. Damn people buying TP and milk. Hey, appreciate your effort and for being out there. There's a lot of hype for the policemen and firefighters and nurses and all them, and I'm all about that. However, they went into that line of work knowing that there's risks and getting getting recognition all the time. Because they went into that line of work and every single day they got to deal with keeping people healthy and sick or from getting sick. But all the other people, the people working in restaurants and the delivery drivers, the truck drivers, the people working at all the auto parts stores, all the things that are open, those are the people that are, I'm sure, frustrated because they can either look at all their friends who are having 2 weeks off basically instead of being like a brokerage assistant or whatever the fuck. They're off for 2 weeks farting around and all the other people are working. Plus they got to go work with all the bunch of people coughing on them. Like, can you imagine? Like, you go to a store and you're there for a moment or two with a bunch of weird customers, and then you leave and you're like, oh, that's horrible. And those people are there for 8 hours or 10 hours. I've got friends that are saying that they can't keep people working because there's not enough people showing up for work. So the people that are showing up for work are working extra hard, and then they're not even able. This people at Safeway, they're not even able to shop on their own. They have to wait till the store closes so that the employees can even shop. So yeah, a lot of people like to give whatever the hero, remember the heroes type of thing. So that gives a lot of opportunity. I think Ed says it best. Wait till the after party. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, look at there. What happened? How's it going? Let's see if he unmutes. We won't end the show right now. Maybe we will. Maybe he won't unmute. Bob's got the corona. His microphone won't work. His mic's got the coronavirus. Here in PA, the governor just ordered all non-life essential businesses closed.
Hey, how's it going?
So, yeah, I heard Pennsylvania. Yeah, can you hear me? You there? We heard you. We heard you. Are you there? You can't hear me. So, I've heard that in Pennsylvania, they did martial law, basically, right? They said that the police are only going to go after certain violent offenses and shit like that. I don't know if Bob can hear me yet. We can hear the puppy now. Hello, hear that puppy? See how sad puppies are in Canada? I don't know. Can't hear me? Can't hear me yet, Bob? We can hear you.
I can't hear you guys at all. I'm going to try to come back in.
I forget that there's a private chat. But yeah, I heard that. Sorry about that. I heard that Pennsylvania had set something up where all non-violent. So basically, everything up until stealing your car, they're not going to respond to, including stealing your car. They're not going to show up if the car gets stolen. I can understand it, I guess, if somebody's got 8 cars and they're like, hey, one of my cars got stolen, I think, because I don't think I gave my brother-in-law the keys. But if I didn't, then it definitely got stolen. Like, who cares if they go looking for that car? But if it's little old guy's only car or only ride to the medicine store, that would be messed up. Yeah, I drive around with her in the front seat, and I get eyeballed a lot. So I am concerned that they're going to think of her she's too fluffy and light. Also, just because of the morale, like who wouldn't want a white little fluffy puppy who just sits there nicely and it's nice to get you through trying times and stress. She'd be like the ultimate stress reliever. I'll rent her for $500 an hour and travel, but you can pet her for half an hour. Oh, okay, that was for Philly specifically, but still, that's the kind of shit that I'm concerned about. This is certainly testing water. And even if it wasn't set up deliberately to test this, they're testing it. They're working on that stuff. That's frustrating. I'm going to wait a bit for Bob to come back, so I'm going to keep coloring this. I need to, so at least I know my email works, and now I know that there's other people just. I think the other day, I wasn't live yesterday, but the night before, I had sent a bunch of people a link. Charles Heller sent me, or he emailed me after the show. He responded to the email. He's like, I'm sitting here. I'm like, man, I'm sorry, I didn't see you in there. I didn't even see you in there. So I went over and see him or whatever, but the way the dog works, if someone shows up and is there and leaves you, no, there's no record of it. I'm sorry, I thought I was watching, but I guess I missed you. And it turns out he went into the duck, but he didn't click whatever and broadcast. So he was kind of in the duck, but he was like not even on stream. It's just not even to where I would have been able to see him. So anyway, I was like, well, at least we figured that out. Like, next time we would ever use this, tell people that. But yeah, so we didn't get him on the other night where I was trying to do a show about the young, to the old, and anybody has to be freaked out to get those strategies for dealing with that. Charles doesn't really complain, so it's always interesting to hear what Charles has to say. I think Charles has to say because he learns stuff from this totally different. I can hear you now. Can you hear us? You better?
Can you hear me now?
I heard you before. Can you hear us now?
I can't hear you.
I can hear you. You can't hear me. So we can definitely hear you, Bob. Let's keep saying stuff. Can you hear me say that? Anybody get input from HBS?
I cannot hear you. Whatever is going on, I have no.
But I have not heard from HBS. So
I'll try something different.
okay. I'm not sure if the government can. And that's the point. Is that they need to be, told no, right? They need to be. They're going to try. I mean, can you hold it against a fish from trying to swim or a monkey from trying to eat a banana or whatever the hell monkeys do? So, a politician's going to try to rip you off. I mean, that's their nature. So, keeping them in check, though, is our task, right? I should keep talking so if Bob's fiddling with shit, he can hear me say stuff. But it feels weird just saying stuff for no reason. And I gotta go in and tweak this piece of bullet down here. Zoom in, make it a little easier. Oh, that's the wrong piece of bullet. This piece of bullet. Is that any better, Bob? I guess I got the music going. You could hear the music if he was listening, or if he could start here. What is he doing over there? Sounds like he's sitting there. Because they use square headphone jacks in Canada. Everybody else was using round, and Canada was like, screw your round plugs. We're making square ones. Problem is that if you put it in 3 ways you put it in, it's wrong. It only works 1 way. So he has to keep plugging it in over and over until he gets it in the right way. Oh, you left again. Dang it. All right. Thanks again. Thanks for being on the road. Let's drive safe. Just wondering how they were affected. Nothing's going on. Just we haven't heard from him. He's been jumping in the last few days, but I kept saying old, and he probably got offended because he's way older than me, and old people don't like to be told how old they are. So he might have been offended by that. I'm not used to that the older generations like problems or issues. So if maybe I'm not sensitive enough to their gender or not gender, their age denial. Maybe when I'm elderly, I'll understand it more. Like, oh, I wasn't sensitive enough to their elder issues. All right, now I can throw my color back on. There we go. And I can give those things some color. I don't know if I should wait for Bob. How long have we been going? Oh, we've only been going for 38 minutes, so we'll see. Am I still being corked out there? If I'm still being corked, then I could be owed visitors or viewers at this point. Like, if I were to petition, like, the government, would I get 1,000 viewers? Make up for the crisis? What's that? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, what was it?
Just didn't have it set to the right speakers.
Okay, so it's just setting in the duck or whatever.
Yep.
How you been? How things going?
Not bad. Got a cold, so I got to try to figure out: do I have corona or do I just have a cold?
It sounds like the corona is a lung thing, right? So you'd start getting issues, congestion, that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm at the age where it shouldn't kill me, so. Okay.
Well, they say it's because it's a lung thing. Like you can get severe to where you need someone down your throat or something, and there's only so many people that can shove those down your throat, and probably only so many tubes, right? So
yeah, ventilators.
Yeah, just a matter of like if you have to that extreme, and you're at the end of the line, and you get neglected. But you know what I mean? Like I can't imagine if you're about to suffocate that they ain't gonna pull the tube out of somebody else, wipe it off, and save your life. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a hospital, I'm sure you're fine, or at least you're gonna figure it out. But anyway, so I think that's all you got to worry about is if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't go back to a hospital and you get the worst case of it, that's the only way to really die from it.
Yeah. Well, this is it, but it's a mild case and I get over it and then I don't have to worry about it.
Anyway, you got the stuff going on in Canada about sheltering in place or any of that kind of stuff, or is it all just on your...
Yeah, like my niece is in quarantine. She just got back from Costa Rica.
Well, but I'm talking about just in general. Like, is it because down in California now they've changed it to stay at home, basically? Like, even if you
like a lot of businesses have closed. They just told everybody stay at home and don't get around other people. So same kind of thing. Not
just recommended right? It's not been ordered to do it; they're just been asked to do it or suggested to do it.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So, so otherwise, where you're at, are there a bunch of people around or are you out?
Not a lot. I mean, my problem is I've got roommates who go out and do shit, and then they're going to come back here, of course, so.
Could you grab more shit from Canada and throw it at that fucking microphone? What the fuck?
What's that?
You just threw, like, everything in Canada at the microphone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm asking if you're like in the middle of nowhere or if you're in like a town. Like, are you able to kind of get the pulse of what people are doing up there or how they're feeling with the stress level?
Yeah, nobody's really stressed. I mean, everybody I talk to is kind of like, where I am, I'm right in the middle of the country, so we've had very few. I mean, the city I'm in, I think they got maybe 8 cases altogether, and maybe 50 in the whole province.
Now, I might be crazy, but my impression of Canadians is that you're not a bunch of wimpies. Like you can deal with things physically, or like whatever. You don't get like flustered. Like if there's a war or whatever, it's not like you're going to broken their for you. What they do, they go to war or whatever. Like,
Thanks, Laura. Sorry about that distraction. My roommate just handed me a piece of pizza and Charlie grabbed it and got half of it.
All right, well, now we got to there. So, look and see if anybody's saying anything out there. Are you still here, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here. My roommate just came home and handed me a piece of pizza, so got a little distracted.
Did you ever go to this Battlefield Vegas place? Was it there when you were there?
No, I don't think it was there when I was there. It's just new, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, new, and then you've been there like 3 times, so I don't know if you had time to get over there.
Yeah, no, I never went to any of those machine gun places there.
All right, I'll quit flicking with that and see what everybody's saying over here. So let's say I love everything she does. The fact that she has a taser, nothing to do. What are we talking about? What are they talking about over there? What are we doing?
I have no idea.
Wondering how they get affected by the hysteria. About whose service? That was where we were at before. Okay, so anybody here hike? If so, can bigger people carry a heavier backpack? No, I mean, yes, I guess. Technically, you have to, because bigger people have bigger clothes, right? Like bigger people have bigger shoes and a bigger sleeping bag. So you're going to carry more stuff. So I guess, yes, but I feel like it's sizeism to make big people carry more stuff just because they're big. They didn't ask to be bigger and stronger and better than you. You shouldn't make them carry more shit.
Is it the rule in the military you make the smallest guy carry the heaviest gun?
No, I mean, that say that shit. I mean, there's definitely not like some actual rule, but it might seem like that sometimes, I guess. There's a difference between what people want to do and what they can do also, right? Like, so, on the other hand, I don't know. So can bigger, so I think the answer is yes. I mean, kind of yes, right? GTP is saying depends what you mean by bigger and the physical condition of the person. Okay, so then we say heavier. Say they are both of similar fitness. One is 175 pounds, the other is 150 pounds. If they're similar, like, okay, if they're the same amount of fitness, then the 175 person is wimpy, right? And the 150 person is strong, because if they're the same, then that means that's 150 pounds of muscle and 175 pounds of fat, right? But if they're proportionally, so they're 75, 175 is equally as strong to their weight as the 150 is, you know what I'm saying? If it's a proportional thing, then the 175 is stronger, right? By a couple of pounds, so it won't be that many pounds. And
Yeah, they would be, but it would only be by a small amount, probably.
And then here it adds to the more. So can one carry 35 and the other carry 30, or is the difference negligible? That's adding a lot, a whole bunch, right? So 35 and 30 doesn't seem like a lot until you carry it for a minute. And then yes, 35 will feel like more. I would think, I don't know about 175 and 150. I mean, half of me weighs more than that. So I don't know, but 35 doesn't seem like shit. That's nothing. That's like a couple of gallons of milk, right? That doesn't seem like that much. I would think. How big is a 150-pound person? Who do I know that's 150 pounds?
Me?
You're 150? You could definitely carry 35 pounds. The fuck,
Oh,
right? Yeah. I can't imagine somebody 150 unless they're a giant child or a really, really old big guy, right? Like I can't imagine somebody couldn't carry 35 unless they're physically. I don't know where this comes from, Ozzy. What was Ozzy talking about with that? Maybe around chat? Let's see. I try to cut my base weight down because I'm a big dude. I heard Trudeau wants coronavirus so he can have the black lung to go with his black face. Nice. It was delicious. 13 pounds base weight for my current pack, trying to get it down to 10 so I can do any kind of hiking. That's interesting. So you're saying before you add like the stuff for that particular trip, your pack weighs 13 pounds with its kit, or is that the pack itself? A 13-pound pack would be pretty heavy. But yeah, feel free to throw more in on that. We can offer whatever we can offer on that.
well, it depends. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking of a hike. I mean, some hikes could be like 3 or 4 day hikes. That's
Well,
probably not the
35 pounds is a day hike.
Yeah.
So we're talking like, and we don't know what kind of distance or anything, obviously either. So, but I'm thinking for 35 pounds, that's just like a day, walking around, maybe a couple hours type of essentials and a couple of things for convenience, but not like. I mean, I'm thinking if you're going out for a couple of days, you're more like in the 60-pound range, right? 80 pounds even, depending on how much shit you bring with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether you want to just, you know, sleep on a ground sheet or whether you want to have a tent. And,
Yeah, exactly. Like lean-to versus dragging poles and stakes and everything. If you're going to tie rocks, like out here, it'd be crazy to bring stakes. No point. You can bring guy rods and then tie them to rocks and stick them out and do the same thing. But it would be dumb to try to dig holes and try to put stakes.
well, and you want to have your rope to put around your bed so the snakes don't crawl in there too. Right?
No, I've never been worried about snakes. I don't know. I mean, I don't always. I quit sleeping in a tent when I was in Wyoming in the 80s, 90s, early 90s. So I haven't really slept in a tent except for when I go elk hunting in the winter. Then I bring a tent because then I can bring a tent heater because I'm wimpy. But back in the day when I first moved out here and we go deer hunting and stuff, I just like sleeping underneath the stars actually out here. But then maybe if it's raining or if it's going to be shitty, like a tarp or something, and just like in a shelter, like a half shelter type of thing. But I don't know. I just started doing that in Wyoming, and I liked it. And I just quit dragging around a sleeping bag and a bunch of shit I'll take. Like hey, and in fact, I wanted to thank you. I like a wool blanket. I like the green wool blankets, like the army blankets. I also like the woven ones, like you get in Mexico. Those kind of wool blankets with the fringy edges.
Yeah.
So, Bob, you gave me one long last time ago, wherever. It might have been when we were out someplace or something, but you gave me that one green one. I'm still using that one, dude. And of all the Army ones, like, I don't know if that's an actual Canada Army one or if that's like a Canada Outfitter one, but all the other ones I have are for like, fucking middle of the road, like I'm only 6 foot tall, maybe guy. So my feet always stick out or my head has to stick out. With that one you gave me, it's not only thicker, but I can be under that one. It's awesome. So I still use that one to this day. It's my like daily blanket.
Yeah, I think it's an army blanket. But yeah, I had to give that to you because your dog pooped on it.
Oh, yeah, that's my strategy.
Yeah, smart dog.
Yeah. It's on command. Whenever I see something I like, hey, start pooping on that.
Yeah, I got a Hudson Bay blanket. Those things are just badass, man. 3 striper. The number of stripes on the blanket tells you how good it is. The more stripes, the better.
Oh, what is that? Like the thickness of it or something?
Thickness and the density of the wool, I guess.
Yeah, like the tightness of the weave, probably.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Some of them I have, like the military army blankets, are like a blanket. Like you can't poke your finger through that. You're not sticking a pen through it real easy. You know, it's a fabric. It's like nothing. Where the Indian ones, or the ones from Mexico, you know, you could stick a pen through there. You could poke your finger through it if you really tried. Like it's just a woven thing.
Yeah.
But that underneath of something that blocks wind, like that underneath a poncho liner, is warmer than shit because of all that air can go into all that weave, right? Where, you know what I mean? Like the ones that are more like the green blankets, they can be warm, but you need another layer. Really. Like that layer can hold, that can keep air in, but it doesn't like hold air like a really wide woven. So I like both kind of wools. And depending on what's going on, you got like, you know, both, you got one or the other, you know, I like having a combo. And that's, like I said, that's what I do now instead of a sleeping bag, is a couple of wool blankets, depending. If it's super cold, a couple underneath of you and a couple of 3 on top. But 3 wool blankets and 2 underneath is warmer than any sleeping bag I've ever owned. And I've owned a number of sleeping bags. Like I said, I quit buying them about a long time ago, but up until then, I got free ones from Civil Air Patrol that were the best ones ever are the cotton, green cotton, completely 100% down Air Force ones. Those were awesome. Air Force mummy bags with real goose down in them. Awesome, but they're so fragile. Like they're the weakest of all of sleeping bags because they're cotton and it's literally just goose feathers in there. So like they're susceptible. There's too much, you know, too much stuff can kill them. But man, were those things warm? They were super warm. And then I've had lots of nylon fills and stuff. Now I'm not super rich and I'm not crazy, so I've kept up. Like I bought the first Gore-Tex for way too much money when it first came out and appreciated it because it would allow me to do stuff that those down ones couldn't do. But partially because I'm big and I'm not, you know, they just don't make mummy bags big enough for me. I could never get one that I could actually use. So it was not difficult for me to decide to quit using sleeping bags altogether and go to the blankets. But mainly it's because I liked on the horses being able to wad my blankets up in layers. Like I could put a blanket behind me, or if it was cold out, I could put a blanket over my shoulders. You know, the sleeping bag, it's either on or off or rolled up or not. With 3 or 5 blankets, you can do all kinds of combos. You know, you could be sitting there eating with a blanket on. You could throw a blanket down to sit on. You know, you have your blanket on the ground. It gets dirty. Your sleeping bag, like you get your sleeping bag dirty, you're sleeping in a dirty sleeping bag.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing too about the blankets, you can wear them like a coat, like a over top. So,
and those either kind of wool, you get that giant safety pin. I had one from my mom when she was a little kid. It was like a fashion thing, like a giant safety pin, and she gave that to me when I was a little kid. And you can take a blanket and put it around your shoulders and just safety pin it, and it's like a shawl or whatever, like a cape.
Yep.
And yeah, so now that same safety pin or that same style of safety pin is what the Army used in, I don't know, probably all the way through Korea for like laundry. So I got a shit ton of those. I got them in Minnesota for like $1 a piece or $1 a piece. And I felt that was a good price for a safety pin that's almost like a brass knuckles. If you put your hand through it, it's like a carabiner, you know? So you take that safety pin and you smash it through any blanket and it's a coat now.
Oh yeah.
Like you could smash that through. That safety pin is like a awl. Like you could smash it through any fabric that exists and you could turn anything into a cape or a shawl.
Well, yeah, the mountain men used to use like a handmade kind of pin like that to go through their blanket for the same
there's
reason.
something that I've seen too, where you take like a circle and another circle, and you don't have to pierce the fabric. It's more like it's like they use them sometimes for tarps, so they don't have to pop a grommet into a tarp. So you take like a disc, you poke it through, and then you put a thing, and then it just holds the stuff together. But yeah, like that way your bear skin or whatever can be a coat or a shawl or whatever you call that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is between a shawl and a cape. Does a cape have a hood?
No, a cape doesn't have a hood. I think a shawl does. Or no, shawl just goes over your shoulders. A cape goes down.
Maybe a cape goes all the way past your butt or something, or maybe a cape is for walking around and the shawl is for sitting there. Whatever.
Yeah, I want the hooded thing like you see in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Those are cool.
Like where it's like
Lord of the Rings type stuff.
Basically. Yeah, and that's your coat. You put that on, period. You take that off. Yeah. and then you can throw it behind you like a cape, and it's off of you, but it's still there. Or you wrap it around you, and you're warm, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I use a bivy style tent with a tarp over it. I'm thinking about switching to a hammock and tarp. I can't do a hammock. I'm too big, long, and fat. So trees don't grow far enough apart for me to make a hammock, and then they don't make ropes strong enough for a hammock. So I'm not interested in it. Plus, I would bend trees over.
I like the idea of hammocks, except then you're kind of stuck with finding trees. And like if you're out in the desert, well,
Yeah. I mean, I never really done it. Somebody had a hammock when I was a little kid, but like the kind of hammock you put in the yard, and it's made out of metal, and it just sort of holds this thing up, and it's like for your parents to lay in on a Sunday afternoon, like picnic type of hammock. It's not like a sleeping in type of hammock. It's just for laying in next to the pool or something, or in your backyard. So he had some kind of thing like that, and it wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like it had sticks, so it stayed wide enough for two people to just sit in. It was just like a really, what's the word?
Yeah.
Like a really
a lounging hammock.
Yeah, it's just like a lounge chair, except that it was really off balance. Like you'd fall off of it real easy. Like for some reason, hey, I'd rather, instead of laying on a couch that's not going to kill me, I'd rather lay on this thing, which rocks a little bit and could flip right over and kill me. So anyway, yeah, we had one of those and I played with it, but I kept falling off of it. So I never really got into it, and it never wrapped around you, right? So as soon as I owned one, like the net, like everybody owned, the kind that's like a green net, the nylon. As soon as I got in one of those, I was like, who the fuck wants to be in this? Like it basically pins your shoulders to you, and your hands are smashed to you, and your legs are smashed together, and you're in that banana shape. Like, I wouldn't ever want to sleep like that. If it was the kind where it was a stick in the ends, that goes across and the thing doesn't roll around you, I could almost understand it. But then I still don't get it when there's just one string going out. If it was something where you had like two strings from each corner, front and back, like four strings all together, but like going out to four trees in different directions, so it was just like a suspended cot, I'd be all okay with that.
Well, they have a thing now where you can go and put it in the trees. So it's like a big platform just of material stretched out in the trees.
Like a hanging basket or some shit.
Well, not even a basket. It's flat. You pull it really tight, and it's so that you can get up there and kind of have a safe place away from the bears. And then you kind of put a tarp over you, and
so it's flat, and you're just standing there instead of having to like precariously. It's not even really balancing. It's kind of balancing, but you're not like that, like a regular hammock.
Yeah, no, it's like a platform, but made out of material that you can, and it's got straps that you can pull tight so you can get it nice and taut. And it's kind of like you're standing on trampoline.
Trampoline, yeah.
Which, not a bad idea to get out of the way of bears, but I'd rather just sleep with a shotgun.
Yeah, if I was going to go to all the trouble of suspending something so tight at a height that it could hold my weight in between it all without sagging, I would rather just lash wood. And then you've got, instead of, I don't know, it's not tension, instead of pulling all the trees together, you're keeping the trees apart with what you've, the beams that you've created as you lash together a platform up there. But I could lash together a platform in an afternoon, and I bet you it would take half an afternoon to set up something like what you're talking about by the time you climbed each tree and got everything all tweaked and shit.
Probably.
And then when you go to climb into it, I mean, like having a rigid platform, I think it's easier to climb into. But on the other hand, it's probably a lot easier for a bear to get up a tree and into a rigid platform.
Yeah.
That's why you just have like a spear or something. As the bear was climbing the tree, you poke him in the head.
Yeah, you want to hope you don't just piss them off, but
you think a bear would probably be smart enough to smash on a tree. Like if you had 3 trees holding up a platform and you did that, like he tried to get up there and eat you and you poked him in the head, so he went back down to the ground, he'd probably just wail on one of the trees and knock you down.
Oh yeah,
bears aren't stupid.
No, that's why I say, you don't go into bear country without a shotgun. If you do, you're just looking to get eaten.
That's only 1,000 episodes later, and Bob has decided you don't need just a 22 for a bear.
You can, but I mean, a shotgun's just more efficient.
It's faster. So he's saying, I always hear of soldiers carrying 100 pounds or near it is the absolute limit carrying your own body weight. I don't think many people carry their own body weight. That would hurt you. I mean, you could definitely do it, but you don't do it on a regular thing. It would hurt you. But the soldiers that carry a shit ton of weight are the ones that are doing stuff remotely or like on their own. And usually those guys don't have long lifespans. And it's because they're smashing all their cartilages and their vertebrae, whatever stuff in between their vertebrae. Like those guys wear out. And that's some of the reason they wear out. I think like comfortably, I think you'd want to look at, people that are carrying stuff for work, people that have to carry stuff every single day. Because even when you look at a soldier who's carrying like near maximum amount of capacity, probably they're training most of the time, doing things that are strenuous but safe, for their physical stuff or whatever. And then when they need to, they can stress it out and do the hardcore, the most hardcore of stuff. But you look at somebody who's working just every day, like labor, or somebody dragging dirt out of a hole or something, and look at what they carry like all day long on a regular basis and figure that's probably the max. Like whatever's, somebody who has to carry dirt out of a hole or rocks out of somewhere on a backpack or some kind of basket, that's probably like what a human body can carry at the most, like on a daily basis. I would say if you're looking at a bug out bag, like less, right? The least amount possible. I wouldn't think about the most amount possible. See, I don't know if I'm just never had something swing me back and forth. I don't know if I would like that or if I would not. I haven't tried it.
All right.
I've heard of that, but I'm so big that I stress them out. Like I'm taking up the whole hammock.
Charlie, come.
But I've heard of that for the kind like what I'm talking about. They had the stick in them that they laid flat. If you lay in them diagonally, it's way easier to lay in it without falling out of it.
I always like the idea of hammock camping, but I've never tried it, so can't really say for sure.
I went to the outdoor show in Salt Lake City in 2010. We were definitely still doing reviews and everything back then. And we were actually very big back then. So we already had known people. And so when we from us gun websites go into the outdoor show, it was a little different than going to SHOT Show because the outdoor show is for sporting goods stores. So there was knife companies and backpack companies and stuff that we knew from SHOT Show, but they were there for this outdoor show. And at the outdoor show, they were the brands that were like green and brown and subtle colors, where at the outdoor show, there's a heck of a lot of interest in like neon and stupid colors, like sometimes hikers and joggers and shit like stupid colors. So they were, let's say, not necessarily, nobody really appreciated the fact that their stuff was really strong, that like operators use their stuff, that their stuff's designed to be, really stressed out because people that were shopping wanted price point and wanted colors and stuff. So they were kind of being ignored. So number one, we knew them. And number two, they were already being ignored. And number three, we were a giant channel coming into there. So we stuck with the people we knew. So anyway, we were running around that show and this one guy, I didn't know who he was, but he knew who we were or whatever. And so I did an interview with him, and it was for some sort of a hammock. And I wish I could remember the name. I've been trying to think of the guy's name because you might even know. I mean, it's a known hammock brand. Anyway, the guy ended up at the end of the interview, he was like, "Here, take this one." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I didn't think nothing of it. And it was a pretty interesting hammock. Now I couldn't work it, so I gave it to one of the dudes, but it was, it's sort of like a tent in a hammock, if that makes sense. Like it was a whatever. It had zippers and screens and shit, but it was, I don't know, it was pretty clever. Anyway, so I could see camping in something like that. And it had sort of an under level, like you'd sit in this level, but there was like almost like a bunk thing. And that's where you'd put your pack or whatever, so you didn't have to lay it on the ground. It had tarp over the top, and it had sort of like walls you could use or not use that had screens. So if you were in an environment with a bunch of bugs.
Yeah.
But you'd have to go somewhere with trees, and we're in Arizona. You've seen what it's like out here. I could go up a mountain and find trees, but
Yeah.
I'd have to go up a mountain.
Not very big trees either.
Well, if you go up a mountain, you'll find bigger uses anywhere. I don't know. Did you ever go up our mountains?
No, well, I drove up.
Well, if you ever drove up a mountain in Arizona, it's no different than being in Canada. It's the same whatever environment. So the trees
It's
are
weird. It just changes, right? It's just like you're
every 1,000 feet is like going 10,000 miles or something like that. So yeah, as you go up from the desert floor, you'll go through like Ohio, or not Ohio. You'll go through like Utah. And then as you go up a little bit higher, you'll be in like Washington State. As you get to the top, if the mountain is that tall, you'll get to where it's deciduous forest 24, all year long. So, pine forests.
Yeah, I've seen that part, but didn't really
But there's
stop
just a
to
tiny
look.
dot here and there.
Didn't really look at anything though. Just kind of drove through it. I was heading for where it was warm, I think, so I was kind of focused on that.
I'm talking about the mountains down here in Tucson. I'm not talking about like up north, because up north the mountains are up on the plateau, so they're a little different. But down here where we're at, they call them Sky Islands, and the prehistorically, before the Spanish got out here, the mountains were completely covered in green, like they were forested mountains, and the desert floor had running water on it. But then, the Spanish came out here and kicked the shit out of everybody looking for gold. And then we came out here and asked them to go to a reservation nicely, and they slaughtered a bunch of people, and we had a fight for 120 years. And then I guess missionaries and people came out here looking for copper and silver, and eventually created some cities and stuff. And then we got some towns or whatever, but all right, reading the thing here. Get a bunk hammock from you? No way. If I'm getting a hammock, I'm putting that dog between my feet, right between my legs, and then I got a fuzzy little warm dog between my legs. And she'd be the kind of dog that would just sit there in a hammock. If you stuck her above you or below you, like above your feet or below your feet or above your head, she would just sit there all night. She'd probably dig a hammock. She'd be all wrapped up like a burrito. She likes that.
Yeah, Charlie wouldn't do that. Plus, I don't think you could pick him up to put him in a hammock.
She would not like that. She would hate being in a hammock. She's not the kind of dog. She doesn't like being picked up, but she hates being set on a lap. She doesn't like sitting on a lap. You could be sitting on a couch, and then she could be sitting next to you, and you can scoot her foot over to be sitting on your lap or something, and she'll get all upset, like, "Oh my goodness, I'm sitting on somebody's lap. I don't like this." So she's definitely not a lap sitter. I don't think she'd dig the hammock too much, or be in a hammock with somebody too much. But if you just put her in a hammock, as soon as if she didn't jump right out, she'd probably dig it, because she likes having. I think she would probably dig the net kind of hammock that wraps all around you. Likes being grabbed and hugged like that.
Yeah, dogs like that. You can get a special vest for them, like some kind of calming vest, and it's a vest you put on your dog, and then it keeps the dog calm because it feels like it's being hugged.
Mm-hmm. And so the trees used to be all over the place, and then when those people came out here looking for copper and silver, started digging holes in the ground, and then those holes started caving in because the ground's made out of sand. And then they used all the trees to make tunnels stay up. And of course, they dug all the silver out, let the tunnels collapse, so all that trees just buried in the ground all over the place now. But the result is we only got trees on the top of hills now, like basically as far away as you could possibly get from the desert floor, because that's the last place they were going to grab trees from. And they don't grow back that fast. So.
No.
At least now it's gone.
Yeah, originally the whole country was covered in trees, right? But then the railway, once they came through, before they figured out creosote, they used to just use regular wood for the railway ties, and then they replace them every 6 months.
And there was a shit ton of railroads. Like there's the big ones that go back and forth that we still have, but there was a lot of little ones to get out to the mines and the little towns. So yeah, that's a great point. That was a lot. And they would use stupid wood, right? After a few years, they'd have to go chop down more wood because they had to replace the stuff that they destroyed.
No. Well, they weren't treating it either. They didn't have creosote to treat them, so they'll just rot.
They must have, I guess. By the time they got out here, they had kind of figured out trees.
No. Well, they might have had it, but it wasn't, because there were so many trees, it wasn't economical to use it.
Well, no, I'm not saying it was economical. I'm just saying they had to probably make a choice to not do it because they must have known about it. It wasn't like they just figured out trains and came out here.
I don't know. I've kind of heard that it hadn't been utilized for that before. So
I don't know. It's true they haven't been in desert before.
yeah, because I think it came from the boat building industry. So might have
Well, I
just
don't
been
know
a
where
while.
they got creosote because we get creosote from desert trees. So where did creosote come from before that? Or did they come out here to get it?
I don't know.
I don't know. It might. We're kind of like Spain, so it's possible that they had creosote in Spain, and that's where they figured it out. And then they're like, "Oh shit, we know what this is."
Really, I didn't know they figured anything out in Spain. Because wasn't Columbus using Viking maps? Actually, Canadian Viking maps. Actually,
It probably originally came from that, but I doubt that they were just plain old. I don't know. That's something that I've only ever been told. I never researched it at all.
why is there a giant robot on top of that tower?
No, it's supposed to be at Machine Gun Vegas. This is
Oh,
or Battlefield Vegas. It's supposed to be like a pistol version of SBR AR.
oh.
Right.
Looks like a giant robot.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that kind of Vegas sign. And I tried to pull the colors off of it. Maybe when I write Battlefield Vegas on it, it'll look better. But
Yeah.
it looks like weird legs and shit right now. This is a weird one because their building is nothing but a square. Like the building, there's nothing to do. So I figure the real iconic thing is their sign. I'm gonna have to tweak with it and see what it looks like with the writing. Tweak with those colors a little bit. And then I did the Humvee and the helicopter because this is like how you drive in, then you turn and you go over by the building. So it's not like an easy one to cartoon. So I'm kind of making my own version of it.
Cool.
Anyway, so with that, I think I'm going to shut it down. We got about an hour, and I'm going to have an amazing Free Patch Friday tomorrow because I'm going to go to business, right? So I'm going to try to incentivize some sales again and offer some things over there. So I've got a auction going. It might actually be going already. Let me go to eBay and look. So I got sick of waiting for the first. Well, okay, I wrote the Shooter's Almanac, and then the 2A rally happened. So here we go. I guess it has started. No bids yet, though. So I wrote the Shooter's Almanac last year, and my intent was to get it made for 2020, but then the 2A rally in Washington D.C. happened, and I didn't want to keep cross promoting, so I let the Shooter's Almanac project die, and it did. So part of the project was to finish the Almanac live, like in conversations like this one. So it was never actually finished. So at the end of the year, getting back from the tour from the 2A rally, Gun Rights Policy Conference and everything. Well, I guess the rally was after, but after everything, it's Christmas time and everything. And then we go to SHOT Show, and I had really been spending time to try to finish it. And at this point, with everything changing now, with the events and the different things that were on the calendar being pushed back, it's now out of date. It's now invalid, right? All we've got is a archive of where things should have been this year before all the craziness happened. So there's really no reason to print a first edition. So what I did is went and bought a printer because I'm sick of not having a color printer, and it turns out color printers cost $46. So I bought a color printer and I printed out the first one, and that's on eBay here. And then I'm going to print out tonight and tomorrow. I'm going to print out as many more as I can until the ink runs out, because you get a thing of ink with it. And then that way I'll know how many books I can print out of one thing of ink. And I suspect it'll be something like 3, I think, maybe if I'm lucky. It's really tough to say because, how does the ink thing know what you're going to print? So how does it know how much yellow you need? So there's no way to really much is going to come out of an ink cartridge. So anyway, I'm going to print out a bunch of these, and these will be for sale over at the store. We've got some patches that are not available for sale that'll be available tomorrow for people who purchase from the store. And obviously, got to worry about the future and try to appreciate the people that keep us going, doing our thing. So we're going to do that tomorrow, and stay tuned for that. We'll be back doing probably pick your free patch tomorrow night. Well, you're right. And that's one of the reasons I never bothered with the color. But when I started to inquire about getting just color copies made so that I could bind them myself into books, it turns out it's really expensive to just have color printing done. So what I did is I bought a $44 printer, the cheapest one Walmart had. And then I looked up, you can get off of Amazon, the syringe refills are like $17. And supposedly it'll give me like 4 refills. So if that's the case, then it's, if I can DIY refill the cartridges, it should be the cheapest route if the printer keeps going. But we'll see. I haven't experimented with printers in a while. So the first one printed decent, and then I guess I can show the pictures here. I used the National Geographic paper for the cover, which is basically a Right in the Rain. It's like a strong weatherproof paper, tear-proof paper, and so it's about the same thickness as a piece of paper, but it feels like a little bit more like a linen or something. So it's a little different. But the pages are some paper I horked off of something, so it's just a created thing. I smashed holes into the edges and ran some staples through there, so it's a simple saddle stitch, whatever they call it. And it's a handcrafted, and I didn't even cough on it. So you've got one that has never been in China, never been coughed on, first edition of the Shooter's Almanac. I priced it at $47 or $45.70. Sorry, excuse me, because it's obviously, and because that'll help pay for that printer. And then if anybody's interested, that'll be going up. There's a video going up, I think tomorrow, to talk about it, and then it ends on Monday at 6 p.m. So if anybody is interested in grabbing literally the first edition of the handcrafted version of the Shooter's Almanac, there'll be a video going up on that tomorrow. I'm going to be printing off some more editions, so I'll number those. You'll have the opportunity to just buy like edition or copy 2, 3, and 4. Like I say, I'm going to use these first set to see how many I can print out of that printer, and then I'll just decide if it's worth, if I sell these, I'll decide if it's worth printing off some more. This way I can say there's officially a version 1 or a first edition. And then later in like July or something, a couple of months, I'll make a second edition that'll have all the updated stuff. And then maybe we'll do a crowdfunding and have that one professionally bound. Now, on the other hand, if some gun shop or somebody decides to buy this one off of me for like $2,000, then maybe I can go get this first copy, made by an actual publisher. But like I said, with everything being crazy and everything, it's probably not necessary to waste the paper on making a full run of these. But whatever, we'll see what happens. So that'll be something going on tomorrow. And I'm not sure. I guess give me some feedback if you're listening live or if you're listening to this in the future, if it's worth doing something live tomorrow. I'm planning on doing a live thing on Saturday with people I know who are therapists or social workers and that kind of thing. People that have interest and ability to talk about calming people down and dealing with people who are in panic. Obviously we're in an unprecedented situation, but I'm not going to shake my fist at the clouds and complain about how terrible it is. I'm going to talk about or talk with people who want to be a good example for the kids that are looking up to how we're reacting to all this and offer something towards that. So there's something constructive or positive to start talking about for the next while we're waiting it out. Bob, thanks for jumping in. You want to throw anything out there before we head out?
Oh, just, panic doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anything. Might as well just, relax and go with it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just happening. It's nature.
Well, and you don't have to lay back and take it either. You don't have to lay back and take it. You can experience.
Well, take precautions, but at the same time, don't be freaking out and running around like a chicken with the head off. Sky's not falling. It's going to be bad, but we'll get through it. We did before. We always will. Human beings are incredibly resilient.
Well, I'm going to say it's an opportunity to pay attention and to experience this. And we're definitely going to get lots of different points of view on it or whatever. But when it's all said and done, we're going to have a lot to learn and pull through it. So I think one of the coolest quotes I've seen is from the Navy UDT SEAL Museum. So in Florida, there's a museum for the Navy underwater demolition teams. They call it the Navy UDT SEAL Museum. A pretty cool place. Never been there yet, but I've seen lots of stuff on Instagram and other people that have been there. And they have this, I think, a pretty awesome quote. We'll end the show tonight. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. I think that sums it up pretty good. So thanks everybody for showing up. We'll be back to pick you up later.